is wrong with these people?
Where do you think the most valuable icebergs are?
Valuable?
Valuable.
You mean lettuce icebergs or icebergs?
Icebergs. Not necessarily on Earth, but in our solar system.
Oh.
I'm thinking of Neptune or Uranus. No. It's thought that the crushing pressure might create oceans of liquid diamond filled with solid diamond icebergs. I don't know who thinks this.
Mariah Carey. She was the one that thought of that. How heavy are they? I'll be there.
Does it seem to you to have any value, or is it...
Yeah, well, yes, it could, in principle.
There is a lot of pressure
there.
there.
Huge pressures deep down.
Yeah. Now, you're on the bridge of the Titanic, all right? You see that iceberg up ahead. It's slightly to your right. What order do you give the helmsman if you want him to turn sharply left?
I think that's port.
It's port. Left is port.
Oh, no!
Yeah. The odd thing is, right up until 1933, you gave the opposite command, because a wheel like that is only one form of steering a ship. There were tillers. And if you wanted to turn left, you would push the tiller right. You're pushing it to starboard.
Much the same as when you're on a peddler.
Yes, exactly. So because there were at least 5 different forms of steering on different kinds of ship, it was customary to say, if you wanted to go hard port, you'd shout, hard starboard, and they would go left.
But on a jet ski, you turn left and right. So they must have rudders that go opposition.
Yeah, but they have a jet, don't they? Not a rudder. It's a jet ski.
I've got a rudder ski.
Is that how it turns, though? That the pressure...
jet.
The jet moves?
I think the jet moves.
Does it?
I think so. Yeah.
Brian, do you know? So far you've known everything.
They don't have a rudder, do they? Have you ever seen a jet ski with a rudder?
I don't think they have rudders, no. So I think in
They
that
have a
case...
jet.
They have a jet.
Yes.
It's a jet ski! What are we not getting? They have a jet... Sorry.
All right. I'd like you to fill in the gaps in these slogans for various places or institutions. We start with County Donegal's slogan, OK? Up here, it's...
Windy.
Green.
It really is windy there.
different.
Different, it's different.
Up here, it's different. That's Donegal's slogan. Be pleased to know. Northumbria Police, however, total...
Total arrest.
Total policing, I'm sorry to say.
Brutality.
Total policing.
Total policing.
Welcome to Northamptonshire. Let yourself...
Down.
Leave.
Let yourself out.
Nearest exit. Poor Northamptonshire. Charming place. Let yourself...
Breathe.
Relax.
Breathe is good, relax is...
Let yourself free.
Go is not bad. Grow,
Let yourself
apparently.
grow.
Grow.
Let yourself
That is
grow.
disgusting.
Let yourself go.
Let yourself go.
Self-esteem.
The large, hard
Yes. This is an optimistic one here. Welcome to Tower Hamlets. Let's make it...
Asbo week.
out alive.
Let's make it out alive. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it
There's
happen.
no H on happen
Well,
there.
let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
And then there was another slogan that said, it did happen on Friday the 17th.
Yes.
If you witnessed it.
Oh, dear. In 2007, the Scottish Parliament and the Tourist Board Scotland spent £125,000 on launching a new slogan. And I want you to find the word they came up with. They paid some very expensive people. Welcome to...
The heart attack capital of Europe.
It's got to be Scotland.
Welcome to...
Scotland.
Scotland.
Scotland is the right answer. What genius! I mean, God, that was the very best one I've ever seen. Because all American states, of course, have their mottos as well. And Kentucky decided that they'd spend money on a new phrase for Kentucky. Now, there are 2 things, basically, that most Americans know Kentucky for. Horse racing, Kentucky
Fried
Derby.
chicken.
No, they don't really know for that. But Kentucky...
finger-licking good,
the Kentucky Derby is one, and the other is bourbon whiskey. And they came up with a 2-word phrase that embraced both racing and whiskey. And I just think it is genuinely
Drunk
genius.
horses.
And, no, every time you cross the state line, you see it and you think, actually, they were worth their money. It just says, unbridled spirit. It's a bit cool. I think that's very good. I think that's class.
yeah.
You know?
It's not finger-licking good, though, is it?
No, it isn't. Though I would have you know, and one doesn't like to boast, and I'm just going to anyway, but I am actually Kentucky colonel. The governor appoints certain people to be Kentucky colonels. And in theory, I could be called up in defence of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, as it calls itself. I know. It's unlikely to happen. It's so... Well,
No bothering blast, I
I shall throw a family thrift bucket at them. I did this documentary where I visited all the states of America, and of course they'll always go, which is your favourite state? And it's very, very hard to answer. But as it happened, about the best time I had, about 5 days, was in Kentucky. I thought, well, I'll stick to that as my answer. So I said Kentucky, and about 3 months later, I got a letter from the governor of Kentucky with a certificate, and of course with a baseball cap and various other objects, saying that I had been made a colonel in the army of Kentucky. So there you are. You shall call me Colonel Fry from now on.
I have the key to the city of Port Pirie in
Do you?
Australia. Yeah,
Wonderful.
I was doing a gig and I was talking to a bloke. Turned out he was the mayor. So I went, can I have the key to the city? And he went, yeah, all right then. And, so I said, all right then, well, I didn't want him to back out. I said, where's your offices? On the high street. I'll be down there tomorrow. So I turned up, right? He got a shed key and a ribbon and went, there you go.
So there wasn't much Latin spoken or anything like that?
No, there wasn't a ceremony. I just turned up to the office.
They didn't even put it on a cushion?
It was just a shed key in a bag.
You'll like this story about driving in America. I got a sat-nav and we drove from Atlantic City and the car hire place was just off Lexington Avenue in Manhattan. So I put Lexington Avenue in the sat-nav and it took me to Lexington Avenue on Staten Island.
Oh, no.
After about an hour, I was thinking, this isn't feeling quite right. And then it took me down a kind of residential street off the freeway. And then it just said, you have reached your destination. No, that's someone's house. I was expecting, yellow cabs and skyscrapers.
I've just done voice for them, so that if you have TomTom or Garmin...
You drive along, and it goes,
turn left. Now, the interesting thing...
No, do be...
The most daft thing, you would not believe it, but...
Did you do it as if you were talking to me? That's the worry. Left, you moron.
If you take a wrong turn, instead of going make a U-turn, does the hooter come on?
I put my voice on Katie's. When she drives, it's me.
Oh, well, that's nice, because you can put your own voice
But
on,
you
can't
can do it, yeah, you can record it. Left, 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 left! Which is funny the first couple of times.
Yes, that's the problem.
I had a sat-nav, and after Port Pirie, and the Nullarbor Plain in Australia, the big,
That goes
long...
between Adelaide and Perth.
Yeah, the longest straight road in the world.
Yeah.
And I saw my bike, turned it on, and it said, drive forward for 2 days. And it went, then turn left. But the stupid thing was, it was such a long road, I missed the left-hand turn.
You know that sat-nav uses relativity? Do you know that?
Oh, now tell us.
I do know this.
Tell.
And
No,
is
do
this,
tell.
Is this right? Because of the gravitational pull, I do know that up in space, if they weren't regulated, it would be a year out. Is that the thing?
It'd be 38,000 nanoseconds per day.
Yeah,
the reason I say it like that is because the rule of thumb, which is light travels almost precisely 1 foot in 1 nanosecond. So a foot is 1 light nanosecond. Right. So 38,000 nanoseconds a day is 38,000 feet a day. So that's how much it'd drift if you didn't take account of the fact that time passes
Because
at a
of the
different rate.
gravitational field. So the point is that the maths built into the processors in these geostationary satellites has
Correct.
to take into account Einsteinian physics.
Yes. And I was told, I visited the GPS headquarters. It's in Colorado.
I bet that's easy to
I
find.
did, and actually, this is honestly true. We typed it into the sat-nav and it took us into a field. It didn't take us there. But yeah, when they launched it, the US Air Force were very suspicious of this, you know, Swiss bloke and his relativity nonsense, and had the option of not correcting because they could not believe that time passes a different rate in orbit than it does on the ground.
So if you took a sat nav, like a normal domestic sat nav, right, and put it in a space rocket and went up into space towards the satellite, what would happen?
It's very good. That is exactly the kind of thought experiment that Einstein liked to do, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd meet an Einstein like that.
Anyway, listen, we could go on like this forever, but we're simply not going to. So we stumble now into the gaping maw of general ignorance. Fingers on buzzers, quick as you can. What's the definition of a galaxy?
I'm going to make a...
Yes! Nobody knows. You're right. Essentially, there is no absolutely official decision, but there are scientists trying to work out precisely what a galaxy might be. It's Duncan Forbes of Swinburne University in Australia and Pavel Krupa at the University of Bonn in Germany. And they've launched an online survey, and we have been allowed at QI to be the first people to see the results of the poll so far. But based on that, there is already one new galaxy that forms a globular cluster, Omega Centauri. Seems to qualify, according to those criteria, as a galaxy.
In that image, the Hubble Deep Field image, this year the most distant galaxy ever discovered was found in that photograph, and it's 13.2 billion light years away. You think, I mean, the Earth's been here for, what, 5 billion years? So
Yeah.
for most of the journey of the light, from those galaxies you can see in that image, the Earth wasn't even here. It wasn't formed. It formed after, when they were almost halfway.
The further away you look, the further towards the birth of the universe you're looking.
Yeah.
But how do we know which direction to look? Did it begin over there, or did it begin over there?
Oh.
Or are we on the surface of a balloon? I mean, is it...
No, it began here. So the Big Bang happened here and every point in space. Because the picture is that
Right.
space and time began at that point, and it's been stretching ever since. So all of space and all of time, in some sense, were there at the Big Bang. So the Big Bang happened everywhere. So there's no centre.
So you can look back in any direction.
Can't really see it because black's are very slim in colour.
It's true. I just think it's all beautiful and wonderful and amazing. So, name an insect that spins a web. Yes, Sue.
Spiders.
It's an arachnid.
It's an arachnid, Susan.
What's the difference?
It's got sort of legs and a trunk body. It's
Insects
got
have
four...
how many legs?
2,
6.
4, 6, 8. That's got...
And spiders have 8.
Yeah.
And insects have 6. So I was particularly an insect that spins a web I was after.
The difference is the pedantry of biologists.
It is,
They
you're
are-
right.
Is there a six-legged spider?
There is no six-legged spider, as far as I know.
Does a moth spin?
Yes. There's a very famous moth whose larva is responsible for this tie, certainly.
A silkworm.
The bombyx, the silkworm, is the larva of a moth. But it's not really a web. But there are insects that spin webs. These are cocoon-type things for them to pupate inside. Goats also. Now, goats obviously aren't insects, but this does sound really like science fiction of the worst possible kind. But
Spin?
goats, yes. Scientists have implanted the silk-producing gene from spiders into goats. When the goats lactate, their milk contains silk, which can be harvested, dried, and spun into fibres.
And it's a nightmare if you've ever been caught in a goat web. I've been there for days sometimes.
So there's a lot you can get out of goat. You can get cheese, you can get wool, you can get sex, you can get where that came from. Anyway, basically, they keep giving goats.
Just put the back legs in your wellies.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, the point is, several insects do spin webs, of which the best known are the web spinners. Spiders, however, are not insects. And finally, the scores, which are as baffling as always. It's fascinating, it's remarkable, it's wonderful, it's exciting. In last place, despite an extraordinary performance and remarkable knowledge in many areas, I'm afraid it's Sue Perkins with -17. A highly creditable third place with -6, Ross Noble. But surely putting himself in contention for a Nobel Prize sometime in the next few years on +2, Alan Davis! And it can come as no surprise that the mop top from Oldham is our winner. On +5, it's Professor Brian Cox. It only remains for me to thank Brian, Sue, Ross and Alan, and to leave you with this observation from Will Rogers. An ignorant person is one who doesn't know what you have only just found out. Good night.
And Stephen's back with a trip to Fry's Planet Word tomorrow night at 9 here on BBC HD.